Well, we had a late night last night. Got in pretty early in the morning. Um, just started getting rolling here. Had a meeting at 1 o'clock or whatever it was, um, and the coaches are just getting in with the players right now and starting to review the tape. Uh, Long night, so we'll get after this tape and make the corrections in terms of the injuries and where we are with some of those guys. I have a medical meeting here right after this meeting, so I don't have much to add from what I talked about last night, which was about 12 hours ago. So, with that, our guys play tough, physical, fast, which we were looking for. A lot of good situations to learn from and improve on, and that's what will be our focus this week.
We'll start with Pat Leonard.
Hey, Brian, I was going to ask about the injuries. It sounds like you don't have that information, but in lieu of that, at offensive guard, what did you think of Josh Izudu's work last night? And if Shane has to miss some time and Jamil is out, do you think Josh has shown himself so far that he can handle that responsibility inside?
Yeah, I'd say really with all the rookies, and this has usually been the case in my history coaching, is it takes them a little time to get warmed up, and I thought that was the case with really all of our rookies. But I thought we saw a lot of good things from those guys as you went on. A lot of things that I showed the team today, whether it be Uzudu doing a good job with getting movement at the line of scrimmage, or McFadden making some good instinctive plays, Beavers, Bellinger on some backside blocks, Waddell creating some. Really all the guys I thought as the game went on, they improved, which you like to see that, and they're going to need to take another step this week of having a good week of practice and then going out there and playing again.
Tom Rock.
Brian, two questions if I could.
Sure.
I know you're not going to talk directly about the injuries, but you had 16 guys miss the game last night that you left home. You had another 3 hurt. We're talking about almost a fifth of your team now. How much of a concern is that? How hard is it to function for the coming week if those guys can't come back?
Yeah, I think that's always something you talk about. You'd like to have as many guys out there as you can. Again, our ultimate goal is to get to week 1 as healthy as we can with the right roster. But again, anyone that is healthy, that's ready to go, we're going to play. And the guys that we don't think are quite ready or that maybe need a little bit more time, we're going to help them get as good as they can so that we'll get the best version of themselves when they're ready to go. But injuries, you talk about injuries every week. There's constant roster management, who's going where. That's just part of the business.
And then my second question was you mentioned Beavers. How did he look to you? What was he able to do? And what did you like about him calling the defense there for a bit? It looked like.
I think he's an instinctive player. He's got good size and length. Much like Izudu, there was some really good plays that he had and plays that we need to correct and teach from so that the next time we're a little bit better at him. But he's a young man that loves football, that has good intelligence, that's tough, that's dependable, and he's a good young player to work with.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Ryan Dunleavy.
Hey, Brian, you got me?
Got you, Ryan. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Aaron Robinson, it looked like he was having trouble staying up with guys from their first step off the line. Is that a technique things he needs to sharpen? Obviously, he played mostly slot versus outside in the past. Is it that? What do you make of Aaron after you watch the tape?
There were some good things that he had, I think, and some things that, we can get better at. Again, really that's for all of us. Starts with me, goes all the way down. But Aaron's had a good camp. And it's a good competitive situation. He's the corners, you're going to get beat once in a while, and it's how you respond to the next play, the next game, and have a lot of confidence in A-Rob. He's had a good camp, and really all the positions there's something that showed up that technique wise we need to be better at. and that starts in practice, which, whether it's defending the deep ball or whether it's, getting square on our blocks or tackling or stacking, defensive backs. There's certain, throwing the ball a little bit high, setting our feet. There's so many different things that come up. That's why, this is a really good evaluation because you're playing real live football. Everybody is practicing. You can't live tackle a quarterback. You can't live tackle a running back, and it's, it would be a -2 yard run. But in this case, again, it was a holding penalty. Gary Brightwell splits 2 defenders and runs for 15 yards. That's why these preseason games are so valuable.
You mentioned Brightwell. I was actually going to ask about Antonio, but
Yeah.
just overall, Brian, the way your backup running backs ran the ball, what you thought of that, and I apologize for my neighbor cutting down a tree here
It's
in the
okay.
background.
I got you. We all have neighbors. So I think the running back room is really has good competition, and I said that in the meeting today to those guys. It's a competitive room. They're tough. They're doing a good job with the system. They're a supportive group, even though it's a competitive group. They run downhill with power, break tackles, certainly things that we can clean up, pass protection, physicalness without the ball. But it's been a good group to work with. Gary did a nice job on special teams, and so did Antonio, and so did Corbin. So, hopefully we'll get Matt back as quickly as we can, but it's a competitive group. Saquon was good in the first couple carries. Thought he hit the ball downhill, didn't dance. And then Sandro finished it off. Let's not forget about him.
Paul Schwartz.
Hey Brian, how you doing?
Good, Paul.
Good. I got
are
a
you?
couple on Kenny Galladay for you. First of all, what did you see on that play on the third down play at the 7-yard line? Looked like Daniel put the ball where he wanted to there. And just a larger Kenny Galladay question. When you look at a guy like him, a tall guy, maybe doesn't get the most separation, you want to get the ball up to him and things. I mean, do you look at it and say, look, I got to figure out things in my offense or our offense that can help him? Or at some point do you say, well, he has to maybe do a little more?
No, I think as a coach you do that with every player that you have, not just with Kenny. Whether it's receivers, running backs, tight ends, and you try to figure out what they do well and try to use it to your advantage. Again, in these type of games too, you're running some basic plays, and you're trying to get as much of a evaluation of all the players, as you can. Not much, we didn't really move much yesterday relative to motions or anything like that. It's fairly stationary. Then, they mixed, played some man, played a little bit of zone, disguised some, blitz some. So it was good work for us on offense, and I'd say the same thing on defense. They threatened the deep part of the field with some go balls and, tried a variety of runs. It's just a good evaluation tool for all of us. But, whether it's Kenny or someone else, we're always trying to do what's best for the player.
Well, just with that third down play, though, were you happy with the way Daniel executed that play?
Yeah, I mean, look, it always can be a little bit better, and we can finish it a little bit better. But again, that's the red zone, making tight throws, tight catches. You'd like the accuracy to be exactly where you want it. He put it kind of a little bit low, and we failed to convert on that. So it's again, that's part of the technique, the fundamentals that we'll work on.
Thanks.
Yep.
Tom Canavan.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good, Tom. How are you?
Good. I hate to be gloomy, but when you have a guy like Tony who had a problem staying on the field in the first preseason game, I understand you want everybody healthy for the season, but for the first preseason game, he's not ready. Is that a concern?
No, I mean he worked really hard coming from the off season to get to where he is right now, and things happen in practice, things happen in the game. So again, if he was ready to go, he would be out there. We thought it would be in our best interest and his best interest not to play this game relative to what he was going through, his injury, and hopefully these next few days will calm it down and we'll be ready to go again.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dan Duggan.
Hey, Brian, can you hear me?
Would you stay in Massachusetts, Dan?
I'm pulled over on the side of the Barrett Parkway right now, so service might not be so great.
Okay.
I had a question with Darius Slayton. I mean, he's been running with the twos and the threes a lot through camp, and he was out there with the starters and then only played with the starters. So I'm just curious, why you used him that way last night.
Well, there were certain plays that I wanted to see him on. And I think he's had the last 3 or 4 days, he's earned that opportunity. Again, that's something that we talk about with our guys, really draft status, how you got here. If you're competing and you're doing well in practice, our job is to give you opportunities. And I thought that he earned those opportunities. We'll see where he's at. He's he had a little bit of a we just pulled him out there after the first 5 or 6 plays. He tightened up a little bit, so hopefully we'll be ready to go.
Thanks.
Yep.
Ed Valentine.
Hey, Brian, Wink admitted the other day that he's really comfortable with the starters at corner, but that the depth is a little bit unsettled. Did anybody flash to you last night? Any of those young guys, look good to you?
I think they all competed. Again, we played a lot of man-to-man coverage, so it was a good evaluation. Made some good plays, and then we got to do a good job of really finding the ball, locating it in a deep part of the field. But I thought those guys competed. Tackled fairly well, tightened coverage. Got to keep working on making plays on the ball.
We'll take one more from Tom Canavan.
Brian, can you just give us an update on any of the pup guys? Are they any closer, like Shep? And I know Nick is probably a while away, but Shep and Aziz and those guys?
Yeah, I think they're getting closer. In terms of a time frame, I can't give it to you right now, but they are getting closer. They're improving day to day, and we'll hopefully they'll be out there as soon as they can.